We're excited tonight to have some parents joining us of incoming kindergarten students to discuss the possibility of virtual school for their students next year. You will have received a letter on Monday that gave you a lot of information about what virtual school will look like in Bentonville for post-pandemic. And tonight's presentation will really go over some of the finer points of that information that you received on Monday. There will also be opportunities for parents to ask questions. And while the presentation is going on, if you have a question that you want to pose, I would encourage you just to put that in the chat. And Mrs. Green, if you want to come let people in while I'm talking, that won't bother me a bit. So, because I see lots of other folks looking to come in. So while Mrs. Green's continuing to admit people, I do want to also introduce her. Kimberly Green has been an educator for the last 19 years, serving as a classroom teacher, a literacy coach, and this year she has served as our elementary K-4 virtual administrator in the first year we've ever done virtual school at the elementary level. She's done an amazing job. We're fortunate to have her in this role, and we really look forward to watching our elementary post-pandemic virtual program grow under her leadership, and we know that it will. Thank you again for joining us tonight, and at this time I'd like to turn it over to Mrs. Green.
Good evening. I am so glad to be with you tonight, and I look forward to getting to know you more this fall for all of you who will be joining us with virtual school. Tonight, while I am presenting, I will be letting people into the meeting, so forgive me if I do get distracted, but I want to thank Mrs. Gibson for that sweet introduction, and I would like to introduce you to our moderator tonight, Mrs. Moore. She's a kindergarten teacher at Willowbrook, and she will be filtering your questions in the chat. You are welcome to use that chat and note your questions there while I speak. She will also post in the chat links to various forms that I will be presenting as well. So Mrs. Moore, we're glad you're helping us tonight. And I will tell you again, I'm Mrs. Green for those of you who just joined, and I am the virtual school administrator for kindergarten through 4th grade. And I'm so excited that I have this opportunity to talk with you and really just all of you personally, because our incoming kindergartners will learn so much in the first 6 weeks of school, and you will be really amazed with how your child is able to adapt to the technology instruction that will be provided. So I'm glad that I have time to answer your questions specifically. All of the other parent nights I've worked with grades 1 through 4, but tonight I get to focus on exactly your needs and your questions. Another thing I'm happy about is this year we had so many kindergarten students join our virtual school, and we were really able to learn what works. And so I feel like we are prepared to have a successful kindergarten year next year with all of our incoming kindergarten students. And I'm really excited about the things I've seen in our classrooms, our virtual classrooms, and how our kindergarten teachers have excelled at making the learning engaging and captivating, and really just developing relationships with the families that have helped our students progress and do better. So I'm looking forward to joining you on this journey and working with you for all the years that you stay committed to our virtual school program. Our virtual school program is going to be exemplary in the state of Arkansas. We really are setting ourselves up for success based on the fact that we are using our school curriculum still, and we are working on ways to make sure our teachers do have these personal interactions with our students. Many of the programs that are out there don't exactly offer that. They offer programs where students have to be on computers and interact with a video game or a video tutorial. And in this case, you have the personal interaction with a Bentonville Schools teacher every single day. So I think this is a great program. I'm going to go ahead and present my screen for you. And again, if you have questions, and while you have questions, go ahead and note those in the chat, and Mrs. Moore will look at those questions. And every once in a while, I'll stop and say, hey, Mrs. Moore, what questions do I have? And she will tell me. Okay, I hope you can see the screen. Mrs. Moore, if you cannot, just let me know. And I will not be able to see you exactly, but what I will do is I'll stop every once in a while and make sure I don't need, and I'll make sure I admit everyone who needs to be admitted. But on my end, I hear a little ding when I need to do that. Okay, so to begin, you can use your computer, your cell phone if you have another one, and you might not, and that's okay. Mrs. Moore will put the link to the letter in the chat, and you can click that, and you might be able to read through that while I'm presenting if you want to do that. And then we also have a Google form where you can submit questions. So I would like to invite you to go ahead and if you have a question, go ahead and note that in the form. Okay, forgive me, I need to make sure I'm admitting these people. Okay, I just admitted them. All right, here we go. In this letter that you received on Monday, there was a consideration form that was linked. This consideration form is an excellent way for you to sit down with your family and determine if virtual school is best for your child and for your family. There are two different sections of the form: a general virtual learning consideration form to make sure you have internet, that you have an environment that is conducive to learning for your student. You want to make sure they have a quiet learning environment where they can stay focused on the instruction and where they can hear the teacher, and to make sure the teacher can hear the student. So it's really important to have a good, quiet learning environment for your child each and every day. Additionally, you'll want to make sure that your child is organized. And I know that you might not. I have a 10-year-old, and I remember when she was 5, and I will admit she was not organized in her room. And we're still struggling with that, if I'm being really honest. But I think it's important to make sure that your child knows how to listen and follow instructions. I would say personally, if I'm thinking about what's best for our students going into kindergarten, we want to make sure they know how to take instructions and go ahead and do as they are told. And really, in the classroom, we tell our students as teachers what to do each and every day, and our students we are the teachers, so they listen. In this case, our bond and our connection with our parents is critical to our success. So we do want to make sure that these students are ready to learn every single day, follow instructions. They know how to have their pencil ready, and they're ready to listen and learn. Okay, so on the second part of the consideration form, you will want to make sure that your child, the social emotional needs of your child are being met, and that if that's not within our virtual school program, you'll want to make sure your child has means of making sure they're still staying interactive and collaborating with others. We will offer opportunities for that, and that's one thing I believe will really grow our program, the ways we are going to help our students socially connect. And of course, at this time, that's not going to be in person, but I have learned many ways to make sure that happens virtually. Okay. I'm going to go to my next slide. I'm going to now go over our program requirements. To begin, we need our students to be present with their Chromebook cameras on every single day, Monday through Friday. And parents need to be available. In the first 3 weeks of school, you'll be helping your child learn how to maneuver through our programs, and that will be critical to your child's success. So we do need you available right beside your child as your child learns how to use the mouse and and the letters on the keyboard. So that will be very important. Over time, we want to foster independence with our students. And while we do that, there will be times when we say, okay, parent, we appreciate you so much, but today we're going to work one-on-one with our students. And if you could just stay available somewhere when needed, your child will come and get you if we need you. But that will give your child time to really learn how to follow instructions independently. And that's something we want to foster, that independence throughout the school year. Next, we want our students to maintain a strong attendance. This is very critical to your child's success, and we need your child online for live instruction every single day during the live literacy block and the live math block, and for small group. Small group time is critical because this is when we get to meet the exact needs of your student using our data. So we provide our instruction, our grade level instruction according to our state standards during all of our live math and literacy block times. But then when we meet in small groups, this is where we meet your child's exact needs. And one thing I really do love about our virtual school program is that we still provide instruction in the science of reading. And this is one thing you really want to make sure your child is attending all of the small groups, because we're using everything research says will help our students become better readers. And this is what we want for our students, especially our students in kindergarten. So that small group time is going to be critical every single day when your child is supposed to meet, but every day for whole group instruction. Additionally, we need all of our students to reside within Bentonville school boundaries. So your child will need to be able to reside. By reside, that means that your child lives or sleeps in a house, in an abode, is what our school policy board specifically states, in an abode 4 nights a week within Bentonville schools. Next, we need to make sure your child maintains a strong record of completing work and turning in assignments on time. One thing we have discovered this year, again, we have learned so much this year, having the opportunity to work with so many students, is that when we provide instruction, our students do so much better when they turn around and go ahead and complete the assignment. If our students, and specific in kindergarten, if our students receive instruction and then they go take a break and then they eat lunch and then they might watch TV for a minute, if that happened. So if that happened, then they came back for another lesson in math. Well, then it's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon and they're like, wait a second, I think I have a reading assignment to complete from this morning, but we're already 5 hours past that reading assignment. And so sometimes our little kindergartners forget what that assignment was and they forget exactly what they were supposed to do. So our students are very successful when they listen to the assignment and then they immediately complete it, or they listen to the instructions and then they immediately complete the assignment. And that is very important. And we offer our kids, we have like our own little rewards that we do and that we give them. And so that really helps motivate them to want to go ahead and complete the assignment. But as a parent, I would personally encourage you to make sure your child will go ahead and complete the assignment. Also, our schedule is set up to help our students be successful. So your child will come into the live literacy lesson, watch the lesson, and then within the next hour, your child will have time to complete all of the assignments from that live literacy instruction time and join the small group. So there's time in the schedule for your child to immediately complete all of the assignments that were just taught. Okay. I'm going to say I'm kind of proud of the fact that I am actually letting people in while presenting. This is good. Okay. And turning in those assignments on time is also important, because if your child does get behind, once assignments accumulate, it becomes a daunting task to a degree, and then we have to start over. Our assignments will be due within 24 hours. So if an assignment is given at 8 o'clock in the morning, or all assignments for the day are due the next morning at 8 o'clock a.m. And again, I would encourage you to make sure they're immediately completed once the instruction is over. Okay, Mrs. Moore, I'm going to stop for just a moment. And do I have any critical questions, or can we keep moving and answer more questions at the end?
You can keep going. A couple of the questions we have will be answered in the presentation.
Yes, Mrs. Moore has joined me for a few presentations, so she knows what I'm going to present. Okay, in our letter that we sent you on Monday, we included a parent contract. And this is the contract we need parents of our kindergarten students to sign to agree to the terms that we feel like will help our students be successful. And the contract also incorporates parts of the program requirements that we have in place. So I do encourage you to really look at that contract and just determine if this is something you'll be able to do day in and day out to help your child be successful in our virtual school. And you are welcome to use that link, and I think Mrs. Moore will post that in the link as well. Okay, I want to talk about our K-4 enrollment capacity. We have opened up our virtual school for this fall for 738 students. So we have decided that we will be able to provide virtual instruction for up to 738 students. Should we have, and with doing that, we plan on having 6 sections for each grade level. So what that would mean is for kindergarten, we would have 6 kindergarten classrooms. And some people might think, wow, 6, that's almost like too many, but it was amazing how many kindergarten students enrolled this year. So it will be interesting to see how many kindergartners enroll for instruction by April 5th to see how many sections we will have. Should we go over that amount, we will have to run a lottery. Now, I will say this. I know I just said that yes, we have a lot of students. We have a lot of students who have signed up, but at the same time, I'm not worried yet, because I do feel like we have allotted a sufficient amount of slots to make sure all of the students who do want to be in virtual school get to join us. I feel comfortable with that right now. I do. However, I will say, if we go over that amount, we will have to have a lottery. And so if your child has older siblings who are in virtual school, know that we will consider the siblings joining as a family, and we won't have one student join virtual and one student have to go to blended in-person learning. We will. There's no hope. We will make sure all students are either virtual or blended and not split, because that's not helpful for our families, and we recognize that. But families are definitely taken into consideration. And again, I just don't think we'll have to run the lottery at this time, but I just can't guarantee Okay, I'm going to go ahead and talk about, well, actually, before I talk about my schedule, Mrs. Moore, is there anything I need to talk about at this moment?
We do have a question about the schedule, so I'll let you talk about that, and then we can come back to that question.
Perfect. And someone else just joined our meeting, and I will tell you, I was not able to allow participants to join at the same time record the meeting, but I'm going over the same information that I have presented before. So on our Bentonville Schools YouTube page, we have a link to the first two parent information meetings that I presented, and you're welcome to watch those presentations. It's the same presentation I'm presenting to you tonight, so all of the information is exactly the same. So if you're just joining us, I encourage you to watch that video and for the first 15 minutes. Okay, this is our schedule, and I am proud of our schedule because this schedule was developed after talking to many of our teachers and principals throughout our district to determine how we can best set up our students for virtual school throughout the week. So each day we will begin with a Google Meet, and this is a wonderful time for our kindergarten students to show that they're ready to learn and to kind of talk about what they want to share. I don't know if you know what it's like to sit in a classroom with 20 kindergarten students, but I will tell you, they love to talk and they love to share everything about everything every day. So we definitely need them to have that time to share, and that will help them develop their speaking and listening skills. And that is a state standard, so that is a good thing. And we will begin our day with that Google Meet to set them to kind of share what we're going to be talking about and to just discuss again expectations for the learning day. So we love that we have that time built into our schedule each and every day, that Google Meet. Then we will start our live math block. So this is where live instruction is provided each day for number sense and problem solving. And let me tell you, there are not enough programs that provide cognitively guided instruction, but we do in our virtual school, and this helps prepare our kindergarten students for algebra. And that sounds mind-blowing, but it's a beautiful sight. And when you see your kindergarten student doing a problem that you might have learned like in sixth grade, you're going to be pretty impressed. And we can do that with our instruction, and it's a beautiful sight. So every day we have our live math block, and then we have fluency math groups to help them develop their number fluency, and that's small group time. So from 8:05 to 9:05, that live instruction will be provided. But let me tell you, you might be saying, Mrs. Green, my student is not going to be able to, I just don't think my student might be able to sit there for 60 minutes. Well, we do know how our students need breaks. So we will provide them with breaks, and our kindergarten students are really good about going ahead and playing a little video so our kids can get up and get the wiggles out. They know how to keep our students engaged. They know how to give them breaks that are evidence-based, like our research says they might need a break every 15 minutes. So with our kindergarten students, we know how to help them kind of move around and stay focused and to continue instruction as needed, but also know that on many days, that whole 60 minutes might not be used, just 40 minutes. The only times when 60 minutes might be used is when the teacher wants to do something that's very collaborative and involves a lot of listening to each other and moving and interacting. And so that can easily extend a little bit longer than a typical, like we don't want to make it a lecture. We really want to keep it interactive. And so time can quickly pass when we're just engaging with our students and they're having fun learning. And that's the goal every day, to have fun learning. But to learn, that's the goal. Okay. Next, during that math small group time, that's time for kids to join their small groups. And from 9:05 to 10:05, they might be in a small group for just 15 minutes. And some kids, that might be 20 minutes. For some kids, that might just be 3 days a week. And for some students, that might be 5 days a week. It depends on the need of the student, but we definitely want to make sure we are meeting those needs and we're helping all students to be on grade level. So know that whole time will not be used for a small group. That would either just be 15 to 20 minutes, and that might not be every day. But if it is every day, we're working hard to meet the needs of your child. At 10:05, we begin our live literacy block, and that's where we teach phonics and we teach oral language, whereas in the oral language part is where we teach social studies and science. It's built into the curriculum, which is a fabulous curriculum that we have in Bentonville that might get nationwide attention. We're really excited about our new curriculum program that we have. So during that time, we'll be learning about social studies and science. We might have a science experiment. And then we have our reading comprehension and our writing time. If our teacher feels like the entire time is not best spent being live, she might have a pre-recorded lesson for the students to watch after they've had a break. So that's common as well. Next, we have our live literacy small group time. And again, this is another hour where your kid will only meet for maybe 15 minutes or 20 minutes, maybe 3 days a week, maybe 5 days a week. It depends on the need of your child. So let me give you some good news. Your child will have it once your child has completed their work. I mean, they'll have a break. So when you look at that live math fluency small group, that small group time for math, this is a time when your child could take a recess if needed. During the live literacy small group, this is another time for your child to take a recess. We trust you as parents to say, okay, my child needs a break, and before they complete the assignment. And we do want those assignments to be completed after the lesson, but at the same time, we trust that if you say my child needs or my child might need 10 minutes, well, we understand that. And our teachers do too, and they will work with you on that schedule to help you develop a schedule that best meets the needs of your child, because you are the one who communicates that to us. Okay, at 12:35, your child can have lunch, and then your child will come back at 1:05 for other groups. During this time, this might be an additional small group with a teacher, and that's based on a need. We also have independent reading practice that your child will want to complete, or independent math practice. Your child will want to join their art, music, or PE, not join, but watch their art, music, or PE lesson for the week. And then we have honeycomb clubs, which I'm going to talk about in just a moment after I answer questions. And I know Mrs. Moore is putting that link in the chat so you can review that schedule a little bit more as well. Okay, Mrs. Moore, do you have any questions about the schedule that I did not answer?
I think you answered it. The question was, let me get back up here. Is each block on the student schedule for the entire hour, or is it still just 5 to 8 minutes? So I think you did a really good job of answering that. Sometimes it could take longer or shorter depending on what the teacher is planning.
Right. So this year we did have some live lessons for only 5 to 8 minutes, or 8 to 15 minutes. But this year we have learned that we definitely provide more instruction in our regular classrooms that goes beyond that time. So we wanted to make sure we allowed our teachers the flexibility to determine how much time is needed to interactively provide instruction that's not just the teacher speaking, but really having a moment to listen to students. And that means we're asking questions and they are answering questions. And as we hear what they do and do not understand, we're providing that immediate correction. And we've learned that we definitely need the time to do that to help our students grow. Okay, so thank you, Mrs. Moore. I'm glad I was able to recap that as well. Okay. So I'm going to go on and tell you about our honeycomb clubs. This is where we are going to work hard to help our students have time to learn based on their interest, and we are going to give them time to work together. We are going to give them time to get to know their peers and who has interests that are similar to them, so that they can really enjoy learning. And this is something we do every day in the classroom, so we wanted to bring this experience to our students. But I'm really excited about our honeycomb clubs, because the goal over time is to really promote student agency. And what that is that means we will let students go ahead and say, hey, they can come up with what they want. They might say, I want a Lego club, or I want a ukulele club. So I'm not sure how, well, I do know actually, but over time we're going to work to provide materials needed based on student interest, and we will even allow students to learn how to lead those groups. And that is the ultimate goal of honeycomb clubs, to promote student agency and student leadership. I think by saying student leadership, parents will understand really what that means. But those clubs are multifaceted. So some clubs might be just 6 weeks, some might be 8, some might be 12, some might be 18. It just depends on the club. And then some clubs might just be for kindergarten and first grade, or some clubs might be for kindergarten through fourth grade. So there's going to be a honeycomb club catalog. Mrs. Gibson, did you know there's a honeycomb club catalog?
I am so impressed.
There's going to be a honeycomb club catalog that will come out each 6 weeks, and to promote the next 6 weeks clubs. And over time, we want students to really be the driving force who determine what those those honeycomb clubs look like and what will be taught. And at the same time, our teachers will be monitoring and facilitating those clubs, and they'll be working with the students to really think about how we can incorporate vocabulary and learning standards so that they're learning, but they don't even know it. So we're kind of excited about this program. No, we're not kind of. We are very excited about it because I think it's something else that's going to help our program stand apart from all the other virtual schools. Again, we're going to be exemplary in the state of Arkansas, if not the nation. Okay, and let me tell you about one more thing I'm super excited about. By the way, I only have 4 more minutes, so do not worry. I will continue to answer questions as long as you have questions, even though I'm talking quite a bit. Forgive me. Okay, so phase 1 of our virtual school. We want to make sure everyone knows our objectives and our expectations and our routines, and we want to grow our program from good to great. Now, we've been working on this goal all year long, and we feel like we're ready to hit the ground running next year, and we feel like we are going to be ready for phase 2. In phase 2, this is where we have our clubs. So this is where we introduce our honeycomb clubs to help our students continue to learn and grow together and have that social, emotional learning time. So we are knocking on the door of phase 2. I will tell you what phase 3 is. Phase 3 is where we empower our students to learn strategies to give back to our community. So we want to develop ways to work together to determine what different organizations within our community we can support, and we can support them in a variety of ways using social media and digital resources. So we will determine how we can work with our community leaders who are partnered with our virtual school to benefit them as we learn. And then phase 4, I need to tell you about phase 4. Phase 4 is when we will try to figure out ways to meet together for field trips or just opportunities to learn. But I will tell you, it will be a while before we get to phase 4. This is not something I feel like will happen soon. And at the same time, that's okay, because we want to get really good about with our honeycomb clubs. We want to hit the ground running with that. We want to feel very successful with our honeycomb clubs. And then with phase 3, we want to really learn how to help our community. So we don't want to just rush through our phases. We want to feel very proud of how far we've come. So when we feel like we're ready, and when we feel like our teachers and our students and our families who are in our virtual school are ready, and when our families really communicate to us that they are ready, and this will be in time, then we will get to phase 4, but we're not in a rush to get to phase 4 because we understand the reasons why a lot of families have chosen virtual school. Okay. So before I get to your questions, you are always welcome to email me at kgreen at bentonvillek12.org. That's green like the color. And I will answer your emails. Again, you're welcome to continue to add questions to the Google form. I do need to tell you this. If you have put questions in the chat, it's important that if I do not answer your question, that you go ahead and give me your email with your question so I can make sure I answer it, because I will get a transcript of the chat, but I won't know how to respond to you directly if I don't get your email. Now, if you wrote your question on the Google form, I will get your email and I will be able to respond to you. Okay, Mr. Vest is currently our 5 through 12 virtual administrator, and I am the elementary K through 4 currently. So you're welcome to ask me those questions. All right, I'm going to stop sharing, and I am here for you to answer your questions. No one else has joined our meeting for a while, so I feel like I have everyone here. And Mrs. Moore, go ahead and tell me what I have.
All right. Do we know yet if kids returning to the classroom will be required to wear masks? Because that could influence our decision on virtual or blended.
I understand how that influences your decision. I understand how you want to know that answer. We are not there yet. So our school board is waiting to, and our leaders, they're not exactly waiting. They're working hard to go ahead and determine what's best, and they're still having meetings. So that answer will not be provided by April 5th.
What is the student to teacher ratio, both in class and virtual?
That's a great question. It's the same. So in the classroom, we have 20 students to 1 teacher. And then in the virtual learning environment, it could be up to 20 students per 1 teacher. It really will depend on enrollment. So it could be possible that classroom size will be smaller than 20. But I would not be surprised at the same time if it were to get up to 20. So it will be the same for virtual and blended, blended is in-person learning. But I will tell you, Mrs. Moore is a kindergarten teacher, and our teachers have done a phenomenal job continuing to provide that interaction, even with 20 students, and 20 students just bring more to the conversation and more to the depth of learning. So I feel like we've definitely been able to be successful regardless of how many students are in the classroom. Do I have another one?
Can switch from virtual to in-person in the middle of the year?
We want all of our families to provide a year-long commitment for their students in our virtual school, and I will tell you why. It's important that we provide appropriate staffing for how many teachers are providing instruction in person and for how many teachers are providing instruction in our virtual setting. And we are not able to move a teacher from virtual to blended in the middle of the school year. So for staffing reasons and for facility reasons, we definitely need a year-long commitment this year. And I will tell you, or for next year, and I will tell you that should there be a very extenuating circumstance, you would have to go through the process of transferring back through student services. And that's only if there's an extenuating circumstance. So I can't tell you how hard it is to go ahead and say, okay, well, we have all these students moving back to virtual. So you would have to have a teacher who's currently, to blended, you would have to have all these teachers who are currently virtual switch. And that's not easy. And at the same time, the space is not easily there and provided. So we have to make sure we are building our road to success. And that means a year-long commitment.
Will there still be opportunities for track?
Yes, absolutely. All of our students who get TREC, all of the services provided by TREC are the same for blended students as they are for virtual. It just might look different.
When we get to phase 4, will that be required?
The only thing that's required for in-person is our state assessments. So when we have, or even our quarterly assessments. So in the program requirements, we do require our parents to bring their children on site for quarterly assessments, for state assessments, other requirements. We do offer spring pictures and fall pictures, but those are not necessarily requirements. We do offer vaccines and health checks, but those are not exactly requirements. The requirement is the quarterly and state testing. So when we get to phase 4, which includes field trips and other outings, at this time, I do not see that we would require that to be a requirement that they must attend a field trip. I do not believe at this time that would be a requirement.
When will this? Oh, I'm sorry.
I know it's 6:03, so if parents need to leave, I completely understand that. I just want to make sure I answer these questions while parents are staying. So for parents who do need to leave, thank you so much for joining, and I really am here for you if you have more questions. Okay, but I am going to stay for parents who have questions, so I hope this is okay. All right, Mrs. Moore, continue.
All right. When will we or the students be introduced to their teacher or find out who their teacher is?
That usually happens in August. We have our teachers reach out to our parents and our students to introduce themselves. And that's usually in a Google Meet so that they can have a personal interaction with our students and really get to see the teacher's face and talk back and forth. And we want to make sure we're providing as much personal interaction as possible because, again, this is what's going to help our program stand apart from other virtual programs.
Okay. If a child's not able to manage virtual class properly, then what should you expect? Or what should the parent expect?
Okay, so if the child is not meeting program requirements, this will require a meeting with myself or our counselor to go ahead and determine how we can best meet the needs of the family. And then we'll determine what next steps might need to take place. But we definitely will provide support. Our teacher will provide support. I will help the teacher I might meet with you and the teacher to help provide support. And then if that doesn't work, I will help you meet with our counselor as well to see if we can provide support. So it's like a layered approach of different strategies to help the family to be supportive, to meet the needs of the family, as well as the student academically. So we will definitely utilize all the strategies we can to help our families be successful. But that will ultimately end up with we'll have a discussion and we'll make a decision collaboratively that helps best support that student.
And if someone chooses in-person learning, that's also a year-long commitment, correct? That's not.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
That's a great question. Yes, absolutely. Because again, we won't be able to provide this. It's about the space and the staffing. So we wouldn't be able to easily make that transition. That will only be reserved for the extenuating circumstances that have to be approved through student services.
And then I think our last question, unless we have, oh, nope, we have some more. How are bathroom breaks supervised while in school? Do students go on their own or are they assisted with another student?
Typically in our school setting, we have provided social distancing for our students. So in most of our schools, not all of our schools, but in most of our schools, there's a bathroom within the classroom. Some schools, there's a bathroom nearby. So there's always some form of some way to make sure the bathrooms are being monitored. So if we have a classroom and the teacher says, okay, we're going to take a bathroom break, the teacher's only going to let a certain amount of students go, but she's going to stand within this area where she can monitor her classroom or have an aide help monitor the classroom so that someone else is monitoring the bathroom area, because we don't just always send kids right to the bathroom unless it's really close by or there's one in the classroom. But I will tell you, I believe most classrooms have a bathroom in that classroom.
Okay. And will students need to be provided with manipulatives that they might use in the classroom?
This is a fantastic question. So we do have learning packets we provide for our families that have manipulatives to help our students learn how to build different structures within geometry. And we have different manipulatives we use for our phonics instruction as well. So we will provide our families with learning packets, and we are working hard to make sure we have more durable manipulatives for our students to use this upcoming year. That's a great question.
What are the safety measures we're following for blended students?
We can't address that right now for next year.
Okay, at this time for this meeting, we won't be able to address that, but we do have online some information that has outlined our protocol for this year.
Okay.
Oh, and then for next year.
So we can't address that
Yeah,
next year.
but for next year, we can't address what that protocol will look like for next year.
Okay. And does the grade upgrade exam, it moved. The grade upgrade exam after
Like
60 days. Yes.
Okay.
And is it applicable for virtual students?
That I will tell you, there's in our handbook, it talks about grade acceleration, but it requires a lot of data collection. So that's not something we would initially assess. We would really want to work with the students, and in the virtual setting, we could still work with our students to get to know their needs, where they are, and collect our data, our state assessments to determine what will be best for that student academically. But it takes definitely some time getting to know the student personally and collecting that quantitative and qualitative data. And once we have that data collected, we can make a better educated decision.
It requires 45 days in school before we consider.
Okay, and it requires 45 days in school before that can be considered.
Okay. And then the manipulatives, did it say is for virtual as well, or is that for blended? So the learning packets that we create are for the virtual students.
Yes. We don't have learning packets for blended, just virtual.
But they have manipulatives.
But in blended in the classroom, they have manipulatives in the classroom they use every single day.
Yeah. Let's see. Do we know when the protocol will be released for next year?
We do not at this time. I don't know exactly when it will be. I just know it will not be before April 5th.
Okay.
Can I speak to that?
Okay, and I'm going to let Mrs. Gibson speak to that for just a moment.
Okay, thank you.
I know there are a lot of questions coming up about protocols for next year with COVID. Right now, we've been working under the reopening plan 2020 that the task force put together, our district task force that also had Doctors for Mercy Hospital on that and several community members, teachers, our superintendent, Dr. Jones. And right now, that reopening plan goes through the end of the school year. And at that point in time, we anticipate not needing that reopening plan any longer. If something were to change over the summer, if there were a spike in cases, if there's something that we're not anticipating as a nation right now, then we might have to come back and put some things in place. Right now, we intend to let those things remain in place, which is why our students will continue to wear face coverings through the end of this school year, even though the governor has lifted the mandate. But it will expire at the end of this school year. So right now, we're not anticipating the need to put many of those protocols, maybe not any of those protocols, back in place. But we cannot predict August and April. And so we know that's difficult when families are trying to choose whether or not to do virtual school right now. I think we just have to make our best judgment, knowing that we're giving lots of vaccinations across the nation, and that by July, they anticipate anyone 16 and over who has wanted a vaccination will have had one. And if that continues and we don't have a spike in cases, then I don't know that we're going to have many things in place next year. It will probably look like a fairly normal school year.
Okay, Mrs. Moore, I know families have many things they need to do. So let's do this. Give me 3 more questions. I will answer those 3 questions. And whatever questions I don't answer, make sure your question is in the chat with your email and I'll make sure I respond. Okay, Mrs. Moore, give me top 3.
All right. When will we receive information regarding the pickup of Chromebooks, manipulatives, etc. for virtual?
That would be more so in August, I believe. The Chromebook question, that could be tricky because we want to make sure we give those to students in a timely fashion in which parents have time to pick those up, because we can't just offer them in 1 week because some parents are still on vacation. So I just would not guarantee it would be only in August. I could see how it could maybe open up in July, possibly. Now, manipulatives, those will not be ready till exactly the week before school. So the week before school starts, we'll be contacting our families to pick up the manipulatives in the learning packets. And that will be after our teachers introduce themselves to our students. So Chromebooks, that was a good question, but I want to say August. It could be July. All right, next one.
Okay, and I think we only have one more left, and that is, do blended students have homework?
Do blended students have homework? I would say there are times where in our kindergarten classrooms, what I would consider homework would be our teachers saying, "Hey, I want you to read. I want you to read your fluency passages, or I want you to read this fluency book that we have." I could see how that would happen many times. As a former literacy coach, I know that we want to practice reading all of the time. And with math, we really encourage counting collections. So we encourage our students to count things at home, count their Legos, count their toys, just different things. So we encourage counting a lot. So what homework would look like in kindergarten in Bentonville schools, it would be reading their fluency passages and continuing that practice of reading as they learn all of their sounds, or maybe just work on your sounds. The first semester, it's that second semester more where they're really going to start applying all of the sounds that they've learned as they decode words. But for math, we're going to encourage them to count all year long and into first grade because we love to count. Okay, and we know the research behind that supports it. Okay, is that all I had for tonight, Mrs. Moore?
There were a couple more, but we can get back to them. Anyway,
Okay, I just know these families, I know so many of you have things to do, but I just want you to know I am here for you and I will answer your questions. Make sure I have your email address, and you're welcome to email me as well. And I look forward to getting to know you. And you might think, virtually, how do you really get to know someone? But I have seen it happen in every single virtual classroom throughout Bentonville schools. And because of that personal interaction, we know that is something we cannot stop. And we know that is something we can continue to utilize to help our students. I am so glad you joined us tonight. Thank you so much. And again, I look forward to working with you. Remember to enroll by April 5th. Okay, have a good night.
அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு அடுத்து என்னவோ சொல்ல வந்துச்சு. அதோட அப்படி இப்படி இருந்துச்சு போயிடுச்சு.